Hey, let's go. All right, guys. Today, I'm covering quite possibly the most important training you guys watch this entire year. We're going to be covering how, inside of our own practices, we have structured it so that we can future-proof our practice against the recession, where we have been able to not only thrive during a time where a lot of people are being a little bit more frugal with their cash, but we've actually been able to hit a new record revenue in our practice, over $150,000 generated in cash package sales inside of our practice. And so this is something that we've been focused very deliberately on over the last several weeks and months. And so today I'm going to be talking through our 3 pillars for recession-proofing your practice. Not that you want to build a 7-figure practice, but so that you can properly prepare your practice so that you can hit your 30, 40, 50K month goals, whatever it might be. But if you're not properly preparing for the economic downturn that that's been going on, you're going to be in a pretty scary place potentially in a few months. And I'm going to tell you all about the things that you need to be prepared for, what's happening, and what we're doing to take precaution inside of our own practice that's allowing us to grow faster than ever at a time where a lot of people are starting to see more stagnant growth. So while this is going on, I am going to get a few people tagged for this training. This is one that we had a ton of people request access to. Once we're basically going to be putting this all into an easy to digest guide eventually. We had almost 100 cash practices request access to it. So give me just a second while I get folks tagged. And if you guys are here, say what's up, say hi. You know, I love anyone who's spoken with me knows that I love chatting with all of you. So say what's up, introduce yourself. Oh, let me refresh that, get the updated list, and then we will begin here in just a few short seconds. Oh, appreciate it, Ty. You taking care of it for me? My guy. So we already have quite a few of you on here. This is going to be a fairly short training, but for those of you who stick with us until the end, you are going to get access to a special resource that we created specifically for you to help you best prepare for everything that comes with the recession that we're currently in. So, like I said, in this training, we're going to be covering how you can recession-proof your cash physical therapy practice. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably noticed that these are absolutely unprecedented times for cash physical therapists. And quite honestly, every single person that's in business, everyone who's in America, citizen of the United States. Okay, we're currently dealing with a massive inflation that's impacting each and every single one of our households and our patients' households. Inflation is up more than 8.5%, and we're firmly planted in this recession that unless you started your practice in the early 1970s, you've never dealt with anything like this before, and neither have we. But those two things, if those two things weren't bad enough, on top of the current economic state, we're also in the middle of a bear market. And for those of you that don't invest right now, and for my investors and my stock people, say what's up. But what a bear market is when stocks decrease, the pricing of stocks decrease by more than 20% across the board for a long period of time. So those of you who are in stocks, you more than likely started to see a pretty significant, loss over all of your investments over the last several months. Now, what's worse about all of this stuff, and where things are really going to start to impact you in your clinic, is that your patients and your prospective patients are all dealing with these same economic hurdles as we are. Okay, so this is obviously going to impact your physical therapy practice, especially if you're a cash physical therapist like us. Okay, the worst thing that you could possibly do during these times is stand by and do nothing, which is pretty much what the majority of practice owners I've spoken to are doing. When I ask them about it, no one really has a clear answer of how they're actually navigating it, which is what inspired this training in the first place. So I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told all of them. Okay, you can either do what everyone else does, or you can be proactive and use this recession as a catalyst to launch your practice and capture market share and make massive advancements while others are pretty much sitting around waiting to see what happens. Okay, not a single one of us have ever built a practice during times like this, okay, where we've had to navigate all 3 of the problems that I had just mentioned. Not unless, like I said, you're born in the 70s. Okay, that was the last time we've had a recession this bad. But, fortunately, with all this stuff, lessons were learned, books were written, and information was passed down that we can learn from. And that is what Ben and I have been studying and executing inside of his practice, ProKinetics. Okay, if you're not a little bit concerned or worried about this, then I recommend you guys pay attention to what's really going on, because as families' cash flow starts to shrivel up and shrink as gas prices skyrocket, price of groceries skyrocket, and overall the price of living, especially if you're renting, it's absolutely going to impact your practice. And that's just common sense. Okay, so to sit around ignoring the issue, hoping that everything's going to be just fine, and thinking that your terrific outcomes and your just stellar personality is going to be enough to continue to hit your growth projections month after month, that is just hopeful at best. So inside of this training, I'm going to be covering a few things. Okay, number one is I'm going to cover some of the challenges that you are most definitely going to be facing over the next several months if you haven't already. And the number two is I'm going to share the strategies that we've implemented and that have allowed us to hit our first 150K month despite all of these economic challenges, as well as what has been working for our clients to hit their first 30K, 50K month by doing the exact same stuff that I'm about to walk you through inside of this training. So for those of you that might not know who I am, that might be new to your community, we've grown by several hundred people over the last month. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jordan Maller. I'm the CEO of Clinical Marketer, as well as the co-founder of Scottsdale Performance and Physical Therapy. And I'm also the marketing director for my partner Ben's practice, ProKinetics, where we're now doing well over $1 million per year in our practice, thanks to the things that he and I have mastered and executed and implemented together inside of there. So inside of this Facebook group, and on our YouTube channel. If you guys are watching our YouTube channel, say what's up. That's a pretty new channel that we're really excited about growing. But we help cash physical therapists model and execute the cash practice frameworks that we've been using and that what we've been teaching to our 200 plus mastermind members. So if you're a brand new member to this group, welcome. Make sure that you guys leave a comment, say hi, and subscribe. We're really friendly people. We love interacting with you guys. We love dishing out free resources whenever you tell us what it is that you're looking for. So make sure you say hi, say what's up. Mark, good to see you on here. Don't forget to also like this video so that other cash PTs and other physical therapists can find this video and get value out of it. That's how this algorithm works. If you're getting value, drop a comment that you're getting value. Make sure you smash and like that love button. That is how we let Facebook and YouTube know that this is a valuable training that other people are going to get value out of. And so we greatly appreciate that. We do all this stuff for free. All we ask is that you engage a little bit, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, and tell us what you want to learn next. Okay, so let's dive into this thing. The first thing I want you all to know is that whenever there is a big shift in the marketplace, every single time, whether that is a positive or a negative change, this always opens up a massive opportunity for new growth if you know how to actually leverage that. And so we always have to be looking like, what are big changes? Like when the Facebook changed how they can track, and Apple prevented people from tracking Facebook Pixel. That was a massive opportunity for us because apparently most other Facebook experts have no idea how to manage that, whereas we did. It allowed us to gain the upper hand against a lot of our competitors. Okay, so we have to look for those opportunities because as daunting and scary as they might be, they do create opportunities if you know where to look. Okay, but that's the key. You have to know where to look and be able to identify the major growth levers that are within your business and then take swift and immediate action so that you can capture that market share while your competitors are still sitting around trying to figure out what's going on and waiting for all this stuff to blow over. Okay, make absolutely no mistake. There are thousands of cash practices that are inevitably going to fall short of making this mark. They're probably not going to make it through this recession. I mean, with normal economic conditions, the failure rate is already at or above 90%. Okay, that's a really challenging thing to launch and build an actual profitable, successful business that you can dedicate all your time to, that feeds your business, feeds your family, allows you to hire people. It's really hard to get to that point without all these conditions. But for those of you watching this, I'm going to teach you how to recession-proof your practice and actually benefit from all this economic downturn, because you absolutely can if you know what to do, if you know how to allow it to inspire you and push you to take immediate and decisive action. Okay, now the first question that a lot of you are probably asking yourselves if you're watching this is, why? Why the heck are most practices, going to fail during this time? And honestly, it's because that is what always happens. This is what happens every single time a recession happens. A ton of businesses fail, especially small businesses, especially if they're side hustle businesses. Okay. as discretionary income dries up for people, people are going to be more frugal with how they spend their money. That is just, again, common sense. The biggest reason why most practices will fail during this time is simply because of inaction, their inability to respond to the changing marketplace, where they'll just continue to do what they've always done. Okay, it's what the majority of practices do in certain times. They just keep doing what they've always done and wait for things to blow over. Okay, they just continue business as usual and hope everything fixes itself. Okay, but here's the thing. The problem with doing what everyone else is doing, and most people are looking to their competitors for their pricing, looking to their competitors for how to structure their services, and what to actually offer to people, or what to say to people, what messaging to have. Okay, the thing that everyone needs to grasp, and that's really going to help you all win big and grow faster than everyone else around you, is to understand one core principle. Okay, the majority of people are wrong the majority of the time. So if you want to get the greatest likelihood of being right, you should do the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing, and do it fearlessly. Okay, following the status quo and doing what everyone else does will get you the same results that everyone else has. Okay, that's completely normal. Okay, but we don't want normal, do we? That's not why we started a cash practice. We don't want normal. How many of you, and if you guys are watching this right now, let me know in the comments, how many of you would want to make over $100,000 a year after taxes? Let me know in the comments. Okay, I'm willing to bet a lot of you, not everyone, that's totally fine too. Some people just want a lifestyle business where they can just do the treatment that they love with the people that they like and be able to spend as much time with their family. Not everyone wants to build a massive 6 or 7 figure practice. That's okay. Okay. But how many of you also would want to only work with the people that you enjoy working with? Amen. Mark, right. Okay. A lot of us only want to work with who we want, how we want to do it, whenever we want to do it. Okay. That's kind of just the cash physical therapist personality. Okay, now how many of you want to be able to take trips and take time off without your business and your income completely stopping? Say me in the comments, because I think every single one of you watching this resonates with one of those things. That is what you want as a cash practice, and likely what you had in mind when you started it. But here's the thing. Are those things reasonable to ask out of your life? Are those things considered normal? What do you guys think? Is having those things normal, and are those things like reasonable things to ask compared to like just the normal standard business entrepreneur that's out there, or just person? Absolutely not. Okay, these are completely unreasonable things. There's very, very few people in the world that can have any of those things. And that's, that's not, it's not a bad thing that that's a completely unreasonable thing to want. But if you want something that is unreasonable, or that is above average and getting better results than the average person, we have to be willing to also be unreasonable, to do things that others may consider abnormal, or that goes against the industry standard, or what's the status quo. Okay, so like in other words, if we want results that we have never had before, we have to be willing to do things that we've never actually done before. And that scares a lot of people. So if you are worried or concerned about the state of the economy and how it's going to impact your practice and impact your patient's ability or desire to pay cash for your services, that's a really normal and okay thing. But it's that's the smart thing. Actually, you should be a little bit concerned about it. But if you do, if you can do the hard things and see this as a huge opportunity and allow this pressure to push you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, you're going to start, and you start seeing things differently. It's going to push you to do things that you hadn't done. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start getting results that you never actually had before. So right now, today, you need to take action before this whole recession starts to deepen and things get worse. You want to start building these systems in your practice immediately, so that when it does happen, you're already well positioned to be able to handle whatever the world throws at you. Okay, you may just start to, after executing all this stuff, you might find that while others are starting to slow down, you are propelling and growing faster than everyone else around you. And everyone's wondering why. They're thinking that you're lucky, when in reality, what really happened was you properly prepared yourself and built systems to accommodate those external troubling factors that are out there in the world. Okay, but you'll have to move against the grain. Don't get me wrong. You have to do things differently than what you see everyone else doing in your community. You're gonna have to unlearn a lot of your learning strategies that you've learned, because remember, the majority of people are wrong most of the time. So copying someone is not only going to get you exactly the results they're getting, but they're also not going to get you the results that you want because it's the normal thing to do. Okay, before Ben, my partner Ben, if you don't know Ben, he's the owner of ProKinetics, doing almost $1.5 million a year. Before he came to clinical marketing, before he ever had a 7-figure practice, he was actually in danger of losing his practice. And he came to us freaking out because the pandemic had just hit and he could no longer do workshops. He couldn't do all the networking, the things that he was great at, the thing that got his practice off the ground and to the point where he could hire a couple employees. Okay, that is how he grew his business. But once that had happened, obviously he couldn't move forward with a lot of those strategies, or at least they weren't as fruitful as they used to be. So rather than waiting it out and doing what everyone else was doing and launching telehealth and trying to reframe their entire business, he didn't complain. He decided that he was going to double down on everything that he was doing and find a way to do it more scalably. So he hired us to help him basically solve this problem. And in the midst of a freaking pandemic, we were able to work together to find a kind of a new practice model that we created together and scale it to over 7 figures at a time when most practices were closing down and entrepreneurs that were in healthcare were picking up PRN hours. Okay, because he was able to see the problem as an opportunity for growth, he was able to obliterate his original financial projections on what he thought was possible for that year. He was able to pay himself more than he ever did before. And at a time when most businesses were failing, this is the most difficult time ever in existence that we know of in growing a business. Okay, especially an online business. The last time a pandemic hit, online business wasn't really a big thing. Now, of course, we partnered up now. We've started an entirely new practice together, and now we help cash practices model our success. But now again, we're faced with an entirely new problem, a completely different problem with all sorts of different variables, and which is this recession. And again, we found a way to do the opposite of what everyone else was doing to make our cash practice continue to grow while most of them started to stagnate. And we just hit our first 150K month as a result, which is absolutely insane. And it's not just us, like our clients are also hitting the first 20, 30K, even 50K month in some scenarios because of the systems and the strategies that we're helping them install and that I'm about to share with you in just a few minutes here. So who's ready for me to actually dive into this stuff? Mark, love seeing you on here, man. Appreciate the comments. Basically, let's dive into this stuff. Okay. So the first pillar of future-proofing and recession-proofing your practice is omnipresent marketing. Put marketing in the chat, and if someone's willing to actually take notes on everything I'm going to be covering here, because it's going to be a lot of stuff, it's definitely going to be a note taker. If you're willing to leave comments and put them in the chat, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So what do I actually mean by omnipresent marketing? I mean making sure that your practice can be found literally everywhere and anywhere. The first action I want you all to take, or at least consider, is launching literally the most aggressive marketing plan that you have ever even contemplated. Okay, I'm not talking about just posting on Instagram and making ridiculous TikTok dancing videos. What I'm talking about is actually leveling up what your idea of marketing is and executing strategies that can do basically the heavy lifting for you while you focus on the other 2 pillars I'm about to talk about in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm talking about creating a much, much larger presence within your community. That's both digitally and offline. Okay, social media isn't everything. It's not the end all be all. Okay, so having a robust marketing strategy is absolutely critical if you're going to thrive during a recession, because people are going to be so much more reluctant to actually spend their cash, especially on healthcare services, because they're not conditioned to spend cash on that type of thing. And so we're going to have to work so much harder to make it very obvious that it makes perfect sense to work with you. Okay. And you also got to keep in mind, people don't want to just work with anyone, especially when they're on a tight budget. Okay, if they're going to spend their money, they want to spend it with their absolute best chance to get the outcome that they actually want. A recession does not mean that people aren't willing or want to buy expensive things. They just want to make damn sure that they're going to get what they want out of that thing before they buy it. So how do we get them to see us as the most likely chance to reach that end? Okay, the primary way is for them to see us absolutely everywhere. The more prominent that you actually are within your community, the more people perceive you as the best. Okay, the more people see you, the more they put you up on a pedestal. So we want paid ads, we want Facebook ads, and even Google ads with hyper targeted messaging on the specific populations that you want to work with. Whether those are, general ortho, runners, CrossFitters, golfers, pelvic health, whatever it is, we need hyper specific messaging to position ourselves as specialists. And so this is going to spread awareness for us and basically make it as easy as humanly possible for people to discover you, and then just be a few clicks away from getting the answers that they've been looking for. Okay, we want to make sure that you're also ranking within the top 3 positions organically on Google, which is literally where more than 90% of all search traffic goes. They skip right past the top ads and they look for the top 3 organic Google rankings because they trust Google's algorithm to find the best people for them. So you have to make sure that you have an incredibly well optimized website specifically for SEO. We got to make sure that you have on-page keywords. We got to make sure that your H1 titles and your meta descriptions are all in place, because all these things play such a massive role in making sure that you're ranking well. This is also making sure that you're optimizing your Google Maps, making sure that when people are searching for physical therapy near me, that you're positioned in one of those top positions. That means constantly collecting Google reviews, writing articles, writing blogs, making as many backlinks and citations linking back to your website as possible to help us get in those top 3 positions. Okay. Other things we could do is we also would want local news to be featuring us on the morning and evening news. And this is actually so much easier than other people think. If you guys would like our masterclass that was reserved only for our mastermind members, but we've released it to the public for a limited time. If you guys want the training on how to get featured for free in the local morning or evening news, comment news below. We'll make sure to get that training in your hands right away, because it's a really good one. We had a special guest, Angela, who is on our team, who is a saint just making tech problems go away for people. She's also a news anchor and a news reporter. And so she came on in our masterclass to actually teach everyone how to actually find the right people to contact at news outlets and how to approach them in such a way that they actually make you their go-to source. Whenever they need a story, they actually contact you first. So if you want the training on that, put news in the comments. We'll make sure to get that stuff out to you. Okay, other things we want to do is we want to make sure that the businesses that our potential prospects are already working with and doing business with, and they actually already trust, we want those businesses to be talking about us. We want them to host us for workshops. We want them to promote us to their email list. So this means being savvy with business. This means being great at networking, being able to present yourself and actually convey your value in a way that the normal, layman person can actually understand. Okay, we must stand out from the rest of the pack. So it's obvious that you are the go-to expert within your community, and therefore you're the most likely practice that's not going to waste their time in valuable and starting to be scarce resources. Okay, this is so important. So this takes time to create all this stuff, and it takes practice to get good at it. Okay, some of these strategies should absolutely be content as well. A lot of people talk to me about content marketing. Should I be posting every single day? Should I be doing TikTok? And the answer is yeah. Yeah, you don't have to. Those other strategies are our top strategies that fuel the majority of our practice, but I would be insane not to encourage you to start posting, 30 to 60 second reels on TikTok and on Facebook. I mean, not TikTok, but reels and Facebook. You should be experimenting with TikTok, because that is the fastest growing platform in the world right now, where your reach is absolutely insane. You can reach millions of people in a matter of days for free. You should also experiment with YouTube Shorts. These are the new 30 seconds or less shorts that YouTube has created to compete with Instagram, to compete with TikTok, that they've created. And again, anytime a new product or a new feature rolls out on social media, the reach that they give you is insane to encourage people to do it. And so, yeah, you should. A few times a week, think of a 30-second thing you can talk about and then just get it posted. It doesn't have to be pristine, doesn't have to be perfect, but the exposure is insane and it's absolutely worth it. So if you're not already doing any of this stuff, I highly recommend starting to post some of those, as well as see how your community is going to respond to it. But don't think that social media and posting every single day is a silver bullet. It is definitely not the end all be all. So Mark, Ty, if he's still on here, let's get Mark the training for the getting featured on the local news. So you need to also be deploying paid ads. Working on your SEO, you need to install stronger email marketing strategies to really set yourself apart. When I say you need to be everywhere, I mean you need to be everywhere. You need to hit it a lot harder than you ever did if you want to grow faster than you ever grown in a time where most practices are slowing down. Okay, but the core of all of this actually needs to be ads. You are one person, most of you are one person shows in your practice, and you need something that can make your marketing more scalable. Okay, you cannot be in every place at once. You cannot network your way to a seven-figure big business in a timely fashion, I should say. A lot of people have built seven-figure businesses by nothing but networking and all that stuff, but that takes a really long time. A lot of us don't have that time. So the core of this needs to be paid ads so that your resources can go to work for you while you're focusing on delivering a world-class experience and outcomes, as well as implementing the other marketing strategies that you know you need to be doing to basically stack the deck in your favor so that if one platform goes down, your entire business doesn't go down. Okay. Now, I also don't recommend implementing all this stuff on your own. It is incredibly overwhelming to figure out, especially if you're following a lot of different groups, which I know many of you are, and you're listening to a lot of different experts because everyone is talking about and boasting that their technique is the best technique. It's the only technique. Okay, it's really hard to figure out the right way and the right strategies that works for you. And doing it all on your own and trying to test all the stuff on your own wastes an immense amount of time and wastes an incredible amount of money, not even to mention the opportunity cost. So seek out a professional, find someone who's actually achieved what it is that you're hoping to achieve, and let them get you the results faster and with minimal headaches. Figuring stuff out is really difficult. I wasted good 6 years before I started investing in coaching. And those were really difficult 6 years. I don't think anyone should go over that. Now that I'm obsessed with coaching, I invest heavily in coaching. I'm not saying that you need to invest with us, but find someone to help you expedite the process. Find the fast lane. You need it. Okay. Now, marketing in and of itself isn't the only thing that you actually need to thrive during this recession. Okay, it is literally the very tip of the iceberg. It is just the start of all of this, which brings me to pillar number 2, which is providing a world-class patient experience. Now, when I say patient experience, what a lot of you hear is customer service, which is not the same thing, okay? Customer service and getting great outcomes, those are expected. Customer service activities are very reactive. When someone hires you as a physical therapist, they expect you to get them what it is they pay for, the result that they actually ask for. When they contact you for help, they expect someone to answer the phone and help them with the thing that they have a problem with. Okay, patient experience, on the other hand, is an entirely different animal. It is all about being proactive rather than reactive. Being an excellent clinician and delivering, a world-class outcome that actually gets them what they wanted, that is expected. So I'm not going to waste any time about that inside of this video. I think you all know that in order to have a thriving business, you need to be freaking great at what it is that you do. Okay, but this is all about doing things for patients that they don't expect, going above and beyond expectations. So that at the end of the day, when people refer others to you, yes, they started off by, hey, so-and-so was able to get me back to running again. But that is not what gets that referral to actually come to work with you. It's how they describe the process that they actually went through. It's all the little things that you did that get them excited about it. It's the emotional victories you're able to deliver to them, not just the end grand result they came in for. Okay, that is the core of how you create something that's truly unique, doing the unexpected, getting the little things right. So things like, a highly streamlined intake process where a lot of people still are using the clipboard and paperwork process, or they do have an online scheduler, but it makes them fill out the same information 4 different times to enter different forms, and it is just as annoying as a paper process. Okay, you need a very streamlined intake paperwork that doesn't re-ask them for the same information that they already filled out on another form. Another way is receiving texts from their treating PT once they've submitted that information to reinforce that they made the right decision and making them feel like they are the only patient that matters. If you can make every single patient feel like they are special, like you're treating them special and that they are the only patient that matters, you are going to be in an incredibly good spot, and word of mouth and referrals will drive the majority of your growth during all of this stuff. Okay. Another way is getting greeted by someone by name as soon as they step foot through your doors. And the receptionist basically walks out from behind the desk to introduce them to their physical therapist when they actually are ready to go. Okay, just these little things, these little handoffs, these little seamless interactions make a massive, massive difference on the people's idea and perception of the level of service that you're delivering. Now, a lot of you, and you're guilty of this, I know that you are, 80% of businesses say that they deliver a superior customer experience. 80%. Okay, so I know 80% of you watching this think you deliver a superior experience, but in that same test, in that same survey, finding out of these businesses that think they're doing really well, they also surveyed their clients, and only 8% of the customers of those businesses said that they felt like they got a superior service. So this should tell you that your perception of how you're doing in your patient experience is vastly exaggerated. Okay, so this is really important stuff that you need to be focused on. And so if you don't have a front office receptionist actually greet patients as they come in, another really great way that you can greet them if you're a solo clinician is print out every single 5-star review you have on Google. Get a frame for each and every single one and fill your entire wall with Google reviews. Because when they come into the clinic and they inevitably might have to wait a few minutes, they're not just sitting there waiting. They're looking there at something that is engaging, interactive, where they can actually read the success stories of all these people who love you. You think that's going to prime them up a little bit to want to work with you even more and make them more likely to convert on your packages? You bet. And it's the easiest thing that you can do. Print off your Google reviews, frame them, put them on the wall in your waiting room. Easiest thing you can do if you don't have a receptionist to greet them and help to help kind of clean up and optimize the waiting room experience that people have. Okay. When you can nail patient experience, patients are going to not only pay you more, but they're going to refer more of their friends and their family, and they're going to keep coming back for more, and your lifetime value per patient is going to skyrocket. So Ben and I have spent countless hours and an insane amount of money refining our patient experience. And because we did, each patient averages 9.1 visits at ProKinetics. Our lifetime value per patient is over $2,000, and 25% of every single patient we get joins our continuity programs, where they're then paying us every single month. And so those are the kind of numbers you can expect when you nail the patient experience. It's not just about the outcomes, but if you want to be the best and you want to be completely future-proofed about changes in the economy and things outside of your control, you need to deliver a world-class experience, because if you take care of your clients will in turn take care of you. So creating a great experience comes down to basically helping your patients win more often, not just at the end of treatment, but helping them throughout treatment. So creating micro victories for each of them. And so we've found and broken these down into really 3 different types of wins. The first type of win is an emotional win. This is one that you want to give your patients as soon as possible in treatment. So for us, delivering, making sure my audio, okay, yeah, audio sounding good. Everyone watching, can you let me know if the audio and everything's coming through on this okay? Okay. So for us, the first one, again, is an emotional win. And this is the one that you want to hit on immediately. Because again, people buy because of an emotional decision, not a rational one. They buy based off of emotion, then they rationalize with logic. Okay. And so for us, delivering a unique experience with our intake forms was the most logical place to get this started. So we, instead of intake forms or intake paperwork, we call it our evaluation accelerator forms, because people hate intake paperwork. So we basically scrapped it, called it something entirely different, which completely changed the experience that our patients had when going through that process. Because now, one, they understand why they're doing it. There's a very clear incentive to doing it. When you fill this out, you're going to get more treatment time. You're going to get an even better experience when you come in and work with us. And so the compliance on just getting that done skyrocketed just by changing that name. But then we took this even further. We made sure that our intake questions didn't feel or look like any intake paperwork that our patients have ever filled out. Because again, we want them to believe that we can get them a result that no one else has been able to get them. And we get them to believe that by taking them through an experience unlike any one that they've ever had. So ours not only identifies, the patient's goals and, basic medical history, but it's also asking probing questions to help patients realize why they didn't get results in the past with other specialists that they've seen. It also helps them explain to themselves why ongoing treatment is in their own best interest and why we're the best ones positioned uniquely to help them do that. And so we don't tell them those things. We ask them questions to help them arrive at that conclusion on their own. And people love our intake forms so much that we actually get freaking Google reviews about our intake forms before they even step foot in the clinic, which is absolutely insane. Who gets Google reviews because of their intake paperwork? It's ridiculous, but I'll take it. Okay, so that's win number one, emotional wins. Win number two are action-based wins. Okay, we got to figure out how you can get them to achieve and take action on something within the first visit. That is always our mission. Basically, sometimes, doing this is super easy. Sometimes you have to wait a few visits, but basically what we want to do is to get that patient to do something that they didn't think they could actually do, or an activity or a movement they've been avoiding. We want to get them to do it in that first visit because, one, this shows them that they can do this. They have what it takes to actually get better, and also proves that our process is better than what they tried because we created immediate momentum. We created a victory for them. And it's really hard for people to not want to continue when we're able to give them a victory. And so that might be getting them to swing a golf club. It could be getting them to go on a light jog. It could be getting them to shoulder press something or bench press something. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but find that one action-based win and do it early on in the process. Okay, we want this in the first 1 or 2 visits. Sneeze. Sorry about that, people. So that takes me to the third type of win that you need to get, which is your action-based win. If you can nail the first two, reaching the third outcome-based win is really easy. So this action-based win, or the outcome-based win, is what they actually signed up for. It's what they paid you for. So it's probably being, pain-free. Okay, so for us, this typically happens around, the 5th or 6th visit, where they're actually able to do the activity that they want to do, and either doing it pain-free or practically pain-free, and we celebrate those wins with them, and we make it a big freaking deal. Okay, we got signs that we printed off and laminated. They're really nice. We have our patients actually take pictures with them, and we celebrate this stuff. We have bells, and we've had some clinics that have gongs when they ring this stuff. We make a big deal out of every single victory because it creates a dopamine release for them, and it creates an emotional attachment for them. And it gives them things to talk about when they're talking about us to other people. Okay, so once we hit those small victories, that is when we start talking about, like, okay, we're averaging people buying our 10-pack. When after the 5th or 6th visit, they've accomplished what they've done when they came in, they might think that they want to drop off. So throughout their entire treatment, we're thinking about, like, okay, now that you've had this first small win, obviously we're going to get you to where you want to go, but where do you want to get after that? A lot of the time people are saying, oh, I want to do a Tough Mudder, or I want to compete in a marathon, or I just want to be able to go out and run more often with my wife, things like that. And so once we understand what that next tier goal is, we start working on performance with them. And so that seamlessly progresses them into our monthly continuity programs. Okay, so we want this seamless experience that has really smooth handoff, so we don't have these, these endpoints where we have to try to get them restarted. So we do not discharge patients. We don't talk about it as a discharge. We don't talk about it as their last visit. We remove that vocabulary from our sales staff's mouths. Okay, and so we always want to be talking about what's next. And the only reason someone stops paying you is because they either got a bad experience or you didn't offer them something that they wanted. And so we want to make that very clear during these. Okay, and so those are the 3 wins that we need to create a world-class client experience. We need to create an emotional win right out of the gate to keep them emotionally tied into the process. We need to create a action-based win to give them momentum, to carry them through to the actual grand outcome that they want, and to ultimately prove that we are different and we can get them where they want to go. Then there's the actual outcome-based goal, which is the thing we actually hired you for, that we use as the catalyst to sell them into our continuity program. So that's how you complete pillar number 2, a world-class patient experience. Okay, now pillar number 3, I saved for last because it is easily the most important pillar. So I saved it till now because this one, although it is the simplest, it is the hardest one to get people to actually do, which is really, really sad. And so the third pillar is developing your business skills and knowing your freaking numbers. It is crazy to me how many people I talk to on a weekly basis that do not know very basic numbers about their practice and wonder why they're not growing. Okay, there's this old saying in business that goes, what you shine a light on grows. Okay, if you don't know your numbers, how in the heck are you or your business going to ever grow? How are you going to do it if you don't know what your actual numbers are? How are you even going to know when you are growing if you don't know your numbers? It's ridiculous. And some people that don't do this, or they don't prioritize, or they're too busy to, which is crazy. It's why they're stuck. So if you're going to future-proof your business against recession and any other issue that might pop up, you must know exactly what your business burn rate is, which is, how long your business can survive on the cash flow that you have, how many months. Okay, how many new patients can you expect to be coming in? How consistent are they? How many are going to be discharged? What's your projected revenue going to be 3 months from now? We have to know these numbers. And for many, this is an extremely daunting task to actually do all this stuff. But my goal for this segment of the video training here is to make all this stuff super simple for you so you don't have to think about it. I have a practice scorecard that Ben and I had put together on the core KPIs, the core metrics that every single business needs to know in order to be able to effectively make decisions within their business. So if you guys would like that scorecard, along with the video training that Ben put together specifically for that and how to find these numbers and use this resource, comment scorecard below and I'll get that resource in your hand right away. It's free. There's no opt-in required for it. Just send it, just let us know that you want it. We'll send it over to you so you can start tracking your numbers and be a little bit more organized in your business. Because if you're not doing this, you have nothing to tell you what you need to be working on next. A lot of people think that running a successful business is about being super creative, being like really good at business, when in reality, it's just a bunch of people making stuff up as they go, essentially. But they're being very specific about what tasks they're working on first because they're looking at their numbers and their numbers are saying, okay, this is the first problem that we need to fix. And then you just go and trial and error until that number starts to look better. Then you move on to the next number. Okay, if you track your numbers, business becomes a lot easier because they tell you exactly what you need to do. Okay, so if you guys want the scorecards, comment scorecard below. Make sure to get that stuff out to you. So a few other but extremely important metrics to track that aren't on this doc because they are in our EMRs. It's in, we use PT Everywhere and it tracks all this stuff for us, so it didn't make it onto our scorecard, is the average number of patient visits per patient and the average lifetime value per patient. These are two of the most important numbers that you need to know because to truly recession-proof your practice, you definitely want your average number of visits and your lifetime value to be as high as humanly possible because patients are coming in and you can count on them to stay for 9 visits and you know they're going to spend around $2,000 with you over the course of that time. When both of those numbers are super high, it reduces our need to generate more new patients. And during a time of recession, not needing as many new patients is a very, very good thing. Okay, we optimize for these two numbers by testing, different packages, different treatment structures, different price points, and we fine-tune these until we found the sweet spot, which has resulted in our lifetime value of $2,001, if you can believe that, and our average business per patient is actually 9.1, with the most common package people buy being our 10-pack. Okay, and so you want to experiment with those things as much as you possibly can, and that is focusing on those two numbers, making sure you get those first and starting to optimize for those. That's the first thing that I would recommend to you. What are ways you can get patients to stay on for more visits? What are ways you can get them to spend more money with you? When, most importantly, how can you make your services worth it? How can you continue to deliver more and more value to justify that increase in rate and that increase of time commitment that your patients need to have with you? Okay. So the most important thing when you're doing any of this stuff, even with your numbers, to grow your business faster than you ever thought possible and protect yourself against any sort of changes that happen in the physical therapy or economic landscape is testing. Okay, people are afraid to test. They're afraid to put something out there that the market rejects, and it's crazy. It's why you're not learning anything. Okay, learning marketing is easy if you're not afraid to fall on your face. Okay, people don't forget your failures. People only remember the things that you did well, and then they call it luck, which is frustrating, but it's true. Okay, test like absolute crazy. Don't make it something that you only do every quarter, every 6 months. Like, oh, I just increased my prices like a month ago. I can't do that again. Nonsense. Try different prices with each new person that comes in through your door and find where that sweet spot is between volume and profitability within your practice. As the business owner, as the entrepreneur, your first job is to determine how to build a thriving business that can pay your bills, pay your staff, and sustain itself and create a big impact within the community. Otherwise, it is not a business. And as the CEO, as an entrepreneur, that is your job. Yes, you're a clinician and you need to provide world-class outcomes. You need to be great at what you do. But by starting a business, you decided that your first priority is to find out how to create a sustainable, healthy business that can help people long-term, that doesn't just rely on you. That means that you're going to have to try and test a lot of things and fail a lot of times to figure out what truly works. And you can't do that if you only test an idea or a price point or a package structure every few months. Okay, get absolutely crazy with doing this stuff. Test something with each new patient that comes in until you discover that sweet spot. Again, you want to find the sweet spot between profit and volume. Because right now, you might be saying, like, I can't charge $200 a visit. I would lose half my practice. Maybe true, but we also have to be willing to sacrifice some of our audience to get what you want, because you can do the same revenue that you're doing right now with half the patient volume that you have. And then you have half of your time back to not only be more present with each of your patients and deliver them an even better experience, but to also focus on the other parts of your business that can lead towards self-sustainability. So we have to be testing, we have to try new things and not be afraid to fail and maybe even anger some people. It happens. Okay, it happens. We have to be okay with it, because at the end of the day, you're in this to create an impact, not just for your community, but for yourself and for your family. You deserve that. You deserve to pay yourself more. You deserve to be able to buy nice things in your practice, because your patients deserve to have nice things that give them a great experience in it. But you cannot do that unless you are experimenting with things. You're trying different pricing. You're trying different packages to figure out what is the best way I can optimize my visits per patient and my patient lifetime value. Okay, now with everything that I've just thrown at you, it is very understandable if some of you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, because I talked to you about Facebook ads, email marketing, getting on the news, workshops, posting content, tracking your numbers, creating emotional, action-based and outcome-based wins. And now I'm telling you that you got to track all of your numbers religiously. And what we do is we fill out that the scorecard at the end of every single month. That's what you need to do. It's easy. You do it once a month. There's no reason you can't do this stuff. But like I said, it's a lot of stuff to figure out all at once. It can be overwhelming. So figuring out all of this stuff out on your own quickly is extremely challenging. Okay, it's an extremely challenging task to mount all of this stuff on top of your already extremely busy schedule. So the fortunate thing here is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel whatsoever with any of this stuff. The fastest and easiest way to learn and execute anything and everything that I've discovered is managing your own inner circle. Okay, what I mean by your inner circle are the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Okay, if you've been stuck where you are in your practice for a while and you haven't reached the result in your business that you expected to hit a year ago, the first thing that you need to check isn't within the practice. It's who you're spending the most time with. Okay, odds are, if you've been stuck for a really long time, the 5 people you spend the most time with, none of them have actually achieved the thing that you're hoping to build. They might not even be in the same industry. Okay, if you want to implement strategies in these 3 categories quickly, find yourself at least 1, maybe even like 2 people that you can add to your inner circle that have already achieved those things. You'd be amazed at what happens when you surround yourself with people who are already doing it. You learn things faster, you're more motivated because you realize it's like, that person, I know they're amazing, but they're not better than me and stuff. Why are they further ahead than me? And that gives you a huge boost of inspiration, because it tells you that you are more than capable of achieving that too. Okay, willpower is what drives most of us to start our businesses. It's what drives us to do the hard work we don't want to do in our business. And it's what drives us to try new things that we don't necessarily want to try in the hope that it will grow our business. Willpower can get you started, but nothing grows you faster in business and grows you as an individual like proximity to other people who are further ahead than you in the activities that you want to do in your life. If you audit your inner circle of 5 people that you spend the most time with, and you realize that none of them are where you want to be in life, it's time for you to make a change. Okay. It's absolutely time. And that it's not to say that those are bad people and you should not spend time with them, but maybe you should spend a little bit less time with them. It's just that they're not helping you or cultivating you into the person that you need to be in order to achieve those things. We've probably by this time all heard that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If you aren't where you want to be in life, check who you're spending your time with. Okay. You have to, otherwise you'll never get to where you want to be. You'll never become the person that you see yourself as in your head if you don't change your environment and the proximity that you have to other individuals who are doing what you want to do. Okay, so if you guys are watching this and you got value out of this training, comment value in the comments. Let me know if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down and you're enjoying the stuff that we're putting out. And if you're looking for a tribe of cash physical therapists who are doing big things and hitting 30, 50, even 100K and beyond months in their cash practice, and you want to start getting around energy like that, then what I recommend that you do is put action in the comments below. And one of our members of our team will actually reach out to you to have just a non-sales based conversation about where you're at in your business and to figure out which one of our products makes the most sense for you, whether that's a paid product or one of the many free resources that we have available to you. So this is not a sales conversation if you type in action. It's just a chance for us to get acquainted and talk about your practice. And then if it makes sense and we have resources available to you, we'll recommend those. And so if you end up agreeing that our program sounds like something that's worth exploring, our team will then get you on a private call with myself to talk in greater detail about what a custom solution for your practice might look like. So we only accept 10 clients every single month. After we get 10, we lock everything down because what I talk about in this training, we execute with you step by step. There's so much support, so much hands-on work that we cannot even accept more than 10 people a month. And so if you even think that having our help to help execute all the things I just outlined today is even maybe a good idea, put action in the chat below so that we can at the very least hear about you, get acquainted, learn about your practice, and give you whatever resources that we already have and make them available to you so you can break through whatever ceiling you might be experiencing inside of your practice. So everybody, hope you got value. If you did, comment value. Otherwise, have a fantastic night, everybody. And thank you so much for sticking with me.